everyday low price CBC experiment case study. This was actually published about 10 or 12 years ago now in the Journal of Product and Price Management. It's a neat little case study that features a kind of a nice little experimental design. So let me give you some background first. EDLP stands for everyday low price. Back when this study was occurring, manufacturers of blood glucose meters had to compete to establish and grow their installed bases of meters, because the way this market worked, it was like the classic razor and blades market, right? So the manufacturer would sell the blood glucose meters, often at a loss, sometimes give them away for free in order to create an installed base, because the money was made on the disposables, because people would have to buy these little chemical test strips to put in the meters, and the chemical test strips was where all the profitability was. And each meter brand had sold a unique brand of test strips that didn't work with any other brand, so it was really important to get that installed base in there. Unfortunately, it had gotten to the point where the manufacturers were losing an awful lot of money during promotional periods when they were trying to get rid of their meters and build the installed base. They were giving rebates, price reductions, and trade-in promotions to entice meter buyers. It was a classic high-low pricing strategy. So during part of the year, they were selling their blood glucose meters for full price, and during other parts of the year, they were having one or more promotions, which often involved giving away the meters at a loss. And some of these promotions were really complicated, so complicated that channel partners, people like the retailers or the wholesalers, were saying, this is all just too complicated. Why don't you just do an everyday low price strategy? So instead of giving coupons and rebates and trade-ins, just sell the meters for a lower price every single day and have that lower price be available all year long. In the academic literature, which we reviewed before we did this study, there was definitely some academic literature that suggested this was a viable strategy for retailers to pursue. That if consumers could lower their cost of search by knowing which retailer to go to week in and week out to get the best deals, that an awful lot of consumers would do that. Then we can certainly see successful retailers following that strategy. It wasn't clear that strategy would work for an infrequently purchased consumer durable product like this. This is a product, you don't buy one of these every week. So the search cost isn't something that happens on a weekly basis. It's something that happens once every 2 or 3 or 4 years. So there was certainly some reason to believe that everyday low pricing didn't make sense from the consumer standpoint. The consumer economics just weren't necessarily there. So let's look at some hypotheses here. We know that EDLP works for realtors or for retailers. Will it work for a durable good? We don't know. So we designed this little study. This was a long time ago. So it was a mail survey, 1,200 respondents, and we had what I'd call a 2-level experimental design. One of the levels, sort of the upper level design, controlled which brands were shown at a high-low strategy and which ones were shown at EDLP. And when the brands were shown at high-low pricing, obviously a second level design determined which particular combinations of rebates, promotions, and discounts were available for the high-low brands when they were high-low, as opposed to when they were full price. So here's what a sample question might look like. Assume you needed to buy a blood glucose meter. Which one of these meters would you be most likely to buy? The rival Premier brand for $120 with a $60 rebate, but no promotion. The Acme flagship, full price, $100, no rebate, no promotion, and so on. It's just an alternative format for the same question. This study was done in the days before hierarchical Bayes, so we used a Mother-Logit model. Mother-Logit is a model that allowed us to measure disproportional share draws. One of the properties of the multinomial Logit model that we use in our standard CBC studies is that market share comes proportionally from other brands. So if you bring a new brand in the market and it's going to get a 10% share, it draws those 10 percentage points proportionally from the other brands. More from the bigger brands, less from the smaller brands, but in the same proportion from each one. So we used a model that relaxed that assumption called the Mother-Logit model. We also provided a what-if simulator for the course of a year so that we could model the client's brand and the competitor's brand's competitive schedules and look at the total market share across the year, as opposed to just looking for what happens in a month on promotion or what happens on a month when we're not offering a promotion. Let's look at a whole year and see what happens. And we also considered the present value of the future revenue stream from the strip sales that would happen as a result of increasing or decreasing the size of an installed base. So the basic results that come out of any conjoint study are a set of utilities here. And the interesting thing to see on this slide is that the full price column has the lowest utility for each brand. Its lowest utility is when it's available at full price. Not a real surprise there. When the price is the highest, the utilities are the lowest. What's also interesting to notice is that rebate and promotion, the next two columns, have much higher utilities than the EDLP. In fact, the EDLP utility is barely higher in most cases than the full price utility is. So this is already suggesting to us that the EDLP may not be as attractive to end users or to customers as we were hoping. And here's a result of some market share simulations. If we simulate market share for a whole year out, for a whole year of this promotional schedule, what we find is in the first column we're showing what happens if none of the brands are at everyday low price. And we have current market shares. The Acme flagship brand has an 18 share, rival Premier brand has a 24 share, and so on. What happens if we just took the Acme Light product? It's kind of its entry-level, lowest feature, lowest price product. What if we just put it on everyday low price? Well, what you see is it loses share. Its share goes from almost 10 to almost 6. We lose 4 share points there. And the other brands pick up the share here and there. So a little bit of it goes to various other brands. What happens if the Acme brand takes all 3 of its products, the first 3 products there, Acme Flagship, Adams, and Acme Light? What if it takes all 3 of those brands to everyday low price? Well, all 3 of them lose share. The franchise as a whole loses share, and all of the competitors gain. So it certainly looks like everyday low price isn't a winner for the Acme brand. It turns out it wasn't a winner for any of the brands. No matter which brands we took everyday low price, they lose share. And that was really evident from the previous page when we looked at the utilities. The utilities were always much lower for everyday low price than they were for various types of rebates and promotions. So it looks like if any one brand does this, it's a bad idea. Now, if the brands could collude, if they could all go with the everyday low price strategy, that's wonderful because their shares end up being pretty much the same as the none column here. So whether they're all on EDLP or none of them are on EDLP, it looks like that first column. So all the brands could save a lot of money if they all went on everyday low price, but no brand by itself could afford to go everyday low price. So what happened? As a result of this research, the simulations clearly showed that EDLP caused meter sale losses of about $1 million a year for the client brand, and strip sale losses of many times that amount in each subsequent year. So EDLP was a strategy for marketing suicide. And so as a result, the manufacturer didn't adopt EDLP, nor for a long time did any competitor. But again, this study was done almost 20 years ago. I just went back and checked on this. I went back to the retail pharmacies in my area, and it looks like today all the brands are using EDLP. I'm not exactly sure when that happened, but it certainly looks like the market discovered that everybody could make more money if they all went EDLP. I don't know if they all did it at once, or if it was staged, or if it was a result of some of the retailers coming out with their house brands. I'm not exactly sure what the cause was, but in the end, they all went that route. But it was never the case, to my knowledge, that any one brand did, because the market share implications would have been absolutely punishing to them. And the research that we did helped one of those manufacturers avoid that mistake. That's it. Thanks very much. I hope you enjoyed the case study.